Everyone, welcome to our RIT Hangout and current student chat. My name is Sanjay and I'll be hosting today's question and answer session with some of my peers from different RIT graduate programs. All our participants today are all current graduate students. Katie Bezak, our Assistant Director for Graduate Enrollment, is also present to answer any questions you may have regarding enrollment in RIT. If you're tuning in live through our webinar link, you're encouraged to join our chat room below or use the hashtag RIT grad on Twitter to ask us questions. Tag at RIT_grad in your question and we'll answer you through the live video and the chat room. Feel free to ask us anything and we'll do our best to answer you. Today's webinar hangout in the webinar we will be talking about our experiences at RIT, including campus life, co-op, and research opportunities and curriculum. Before our student panel introduces themselves, I want to share a few details of our admitted students. This is to all the students who've been admitted currently. If you've already been admitted, congratulations. Reminder that the deadline to pay your $300 tuition deposit is May 1st. And we have our wonderful Katie Bizak visiting India over the next couple of weeks. And to meet our admissions counselor, check out the website event listing. We will be in Mumbai on March 31st and in Delhi on April 6th. If you have any questions specific to your application, please contact our graduate admissions office. You can always live chat with the academic counselor over there, or even put in a request. We call it the Graduate Student Connect request, or you can always call us up on the phone number given in the website or email us. So let's just move to the introductions. I'm Sanjay. Like I said, I'm a current graduate student at RIT. My major is computer science. I'm from Andhra Pradesh, India. And one of my favorite activity outside the classroom is student government. And one of my peer over here is also from student government. And it's a fun governing body within RIT where students are represented by the student body members at RIT. I'll just hand it over to Josiah. Josiah, if you could just tell your name, year, and degree, and hometown, and your favorite activity.
Yeah. Thanks, Sanjay. My name is Josiah Boniface. I'm from New York City. I live in the Bronx. I'm doing the 4+1 right now as an MBA student with a concentration in finance at the Saunders College of Business here at RIT. And I work with graduate student enrollment services.
Ami, if you could also introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Ami and I'm a second year graduate student in the Emerging Science program. I'm from India and I love to go jogging or play sports when I'm not studying. And also I work with the graduate admissions office.
And finally, Rebecca.
Hi, my name's Rebecca. I am in my second year as a master's student here at RIT, and I am actually originally from Buffalo, New York. So my favorite things to do generally are hang out on campus and get involved as much as I possibly can.
Perfect. So just as a clarification again, I hope everybody is able to hear me. I've been talking for a while already, and I should have checked that at the beginning itself. So let's just start with a few questions that I work with the graduate admissions office too, and we get a bunch of questions every other day as to about like co-ops or like campus life or research opportunities. So I just have like a few set of questions that I felt like were the most necessary to be addressed. But if you have any more questions, please feel free to just chat with us below or send us tweet us on Twitter too. So let's just start with one of the questions that I often hear. So let's begin by having you each share have you made the decision to come to RIT? What were some of the deciding factors for you? If Ami, Josiah, and Rebecca could answer that would be helpful to the current students.
Sure, I'll start if that's all right. So the three biggest things for me were the 4+1 program, the ease of access or the flexibility that RIT offered, and the reputation. And I'll just expand upon that very briefly, but I wanted to do my master's quickly. I wanted to do it in 1 year and get it out the way. I didn't want to stay at school too much longer, but I know it would really put me ahead if I had an MBA going for me when I'm applying for jobs and stuff. The other thing is the flexibility. When you're when you're debating going to grad school, there's a lot of factors to think about. It's expensive. We all know that. It takes time. It takes a while to do. It's a lot of work. You know, it's competitive, especially when you go to a good institution. They're going to push you. And I was weighing all the pros and cons. Should I just go into work? Should I do it now? So all that was tough, and it took me a while, but RIT was really helpful along the way. I didn't apply till late July, to be honest, or late June. Took my GMAT in July, and then I was accepted and here in August. So it was that quick. I'm not saying you should do it that way, but it was just like that, and that was a big factor in my decision because they were willing to work with me the whole time, and they kept reaching out and making sure that I was making the best decision for myself. And so those are probably my three biggest things.
Ami, if you could also share why you chose RIT.
So for me, the two major reasons were, first was reputation amongst the employers, and definitely the experiential learning. And apart from that, the scholarship and the funding options at RIT, like I find, though RIT is a private school, but it has a lot of funding options. So yeah, those are my reasons to choose.
And Rebecca?
I chose RIT, number one, because I knew they were starting a program in math modeling. So I knew I wanted to study applied math, and RIT was doing something that I thought was really cool and unique. So 100% when I heard that that program was going to get started last year, that's when I planned to join the master's program. So hopefully, eventually I'll become an applicant.
So, I mean, if I could quickly chime in why I chose RIT. So I had multiple admission offers like the other students as well. But coming to RIT, what stood out to me is their rigorous programs. So in a way, I call RIT's master's program, like at least the one I'm in, a professional master's. It always makes me like all set for my professional career. My courses are catered towards making sure that I am industry ready in a sense to say. So that's probably what made me choose RIT. And obviously, like everybody said, the reputation that RIT has in like the multiple companies that I've so far like interviewed with or the company I co-op with is immense. So, okay, thank you guys for the wonderful like sharing your why you chose RIT. But can you describe your academic experience so far at RIT? For example, your classroom sizes, your relationship with faculty members, workload, something that would help the prospective students. Josiah?
Sure. Yeah. So far the academic process has been good. I'm in my second semester, and the class sizes. My biggest class was maybe 30 people, which is pretty crazy. You know, there's no like huge lectures where you could just disappear and the teacher doesn't really know who you are. The professors know you. Some people don't like that. I do because they take more of a focus and they care a little about you individually. They know your name. They recognize your grades and stuff, so they'll have a talk with you after class. I've had many professors talk to me and congratulate me, or, you know, if I didn't do my best, they'll still come up to me and be like, hey, you know, I know you're bright, like, this is what you should work on or something, or this will help you moving forward. So to me, that's amazing. What else can you ask for? These are some of the smartest people in the world, honestly, at least on the academic level, and they're willing to invest in you, and they care about you. So that's been big.
Ami, if you could also share your experience.
Sure. So, of course, this is my fourth semester, and I would like to share two things from my experience. First, that the professors are really approachable here, and they're really dedicated to the students, and they make sure that you get the material, so which is really great thing. And second, definitely what Josiah said, the classroom size, the max that I've seen is like 30-35. Which is for like a popular course, and rest of the courses it's like around 20-25. So it's really good for a professor to know you and you know, give some personal attention. So these are my intake from the experience.
And Rebecca?
I definitely agree with the faculty knowing your name, your class sizes being small, and they do care. I 100% agree with that. I also want to say that the workload is definitely rigorous. I feel that I am being challenged here, and what I'm being challenged with is something that is very applicable to whatever career I do end up going in. I can tell you that I knew zero code when I came to this school, and so, you know, it was a rough start, but it's definitely been incredibly useful and a great thing to learn now that I have it under my belt.
Yeah, I mean that's all true. Like personally, I've been lucky enough to have wonderful professors who genuinely cared about me. Like currently, I'm enrolled in a thesis for my master's, ending project slash thesis. I was not really interested in that thesis, and I was probably hoping to finish my project so that I could finish it easy. But one of my professor who I took a class with was very motivated and making sure that I understood what's the trade-off between a thesis and a project, and he gave me the pros and cons, and he sat with me multiple times to make sure that I understand what are the repercussions of each of that, and I ended up signing for a thesis, which has been a wonderful experience so far. So yeah, thank you guys. So have any of you gained any experiential learning at RIT yet, or do you plan to do this soon? For example, like a co-op or a research in-class project activities. So would you mind sharing that experience first, Josiah?
Sure. So I'm only here for a 1-year program, and it's a master's program. So I haven't done a co-op, and it's not required for what I'm doing. Some of the projects we've done I would say, have very much reciprocated going out into the real world. I have done an internship with my undergrad, and I didn't go here to RIT for undergrad, but I got a good internship at a executive search firm, and I did accounting there. And when I came here, it was all, you were able to apply everything. It's like everything made more sense. I feel like school, you're just gaining all this knowledge and you're not even sure what this is for, and then all of a sudden you get a job and you're like, oh, that's what it's for. And that made a big difference. And then when I came to this graduate program, I'll give an example. For my senior capstone class, we're doing a simulation right now where we are the CEOs of the company. And that's like a project. It's not like a co-op, but that's a project that just takes you outside the classroom. You have all these decisions to make. You're making every decision from the product you're selling, the marketing, what geographic locations, the budget plan, all the financials. You're doing all these decisions in a small group of 3 people, and it's a lot. It's crazy. It's like almost overwhelming, but to me that's kind of like the extra learning that it gives you that I just didn't get from undergrad. It's almost like I'm doing an internship, but it's part of the learning. Other than that, I haven't done a co-op, so maybe Ami could talk more about that.
So yeah, I've been planning for a PhD like Rebecca, sorry. And last year I've been involved in research activities with professors, helping them out with demo for various competitions around the Rochester, and this semester I'm working on research project with this professor. And also I would like to say that I'm looking for a research fellowship, and the RIT professors have been really resourceful in connecting me to various opportunities. So yeah, that is my experience here.
And Rebecca?
I'm sorry, I was answering somebody online but can you remind me what?
Yeah, so it's just have you gained any experiential learning at RIT through your co-op or research or an in-classroom project or activities?
Yeah, so like Josiah said, we don't necessarily have to go on co-op or anything like that. Do not think that that's not possible, because I know even in my College of Science, we have a professor who specifically works with industrial partnerships and everything. So if you were to go talk to, his name's Dr. Nate Cahill, if you were to go talk to him and say, hey, look, I'm really interested in getting experience in this, that would be something that you could set up yourself, even as a graduate student. There are avenues for you to do that. The other experiential thing that I had was because I was working with my professor on my thesis, we originally just started out doing research and ended up attending a conference, and I got to present at a conference, and I'll be doing so again this year. So there really are opportunities to go ahead and put yourself out there and look at the experience you have, either as a presenter or something else, but just make sure that you are being active in
Yeah, as far as it comes to co-op, at least, I mean, since everybody chimed in about the classroom projects and research that they've done, I'll probably put in a little perspective about a co-op as well. So I have co-opted at automatic data processing, or simply like they call themselves ADP, over summer of 2017. It was a wonderful experience. I got to be in their R&D team. I was building a predictive analytics tool for them. So with the co-op, the advantage that you have is that you just take your skills and put it in real world scenario. And there's a lot of times when you're like not sure why you're studying like a specific course or what you're studying in that. But when you're like on the field, you understand that all the skills that you've been like taught through your like coursework and everything will actually be put into use. So that's something very interesting about the co-op program, and that's something where RIT stands out. We have one of the oldest co-op program, and the best thing is that RIT does not even charge you for the co-op credits. A lot of schools like usually make you pay a little bit of like tuition or something while you're in co-op, but RIT believes that the student will gain a lot from this co-op. So as long as you're well within your like number of co-ops that you can do and everything, you're free to do like co-ops whenever you want. Okay, so besides schoolwork and extracurricular activities, a lot of students look for jobs both on and off campus. I mean, I've personally held a number of different jobs on campus. So I work at the library as a supervisor. That's a wonderful place to work at because you always get to meet new people and talk to them. And then I work at the graduate admissions office, which is always exciting. I mean, I get to work on the next project or something with Katie, and I work with the student government as well. So I'm the graduate senator for this year, so I represent graduate students at various boards, and like RIT believes that the student government is an equal stakeholder in their decision-making process. So that's somewhere I've been involved for a while. But let's just hear about your experiences. How did you find the jobs, and like if you could like talk about if the pay was enough for you to handle your living expenses and everything. Josiah?
Yeah, so I felt like when I came to RIT, there was no shortage of job opportunities, and they're being thrown at you the whole time. As soon as I went to my first meeting for grad school, first day of classes, the follow-up meeting was any student that wants an on-campus job, come into this room 405 and we'll explain it. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't go to that, but then you still get emails about different opportunities. The dining halls is hiring. The gym is hiring. This opportunity came through one of the academic advisors that sent it my way. So someone that helped me get to RIT ended up sending this opportunity to me to work with graduate enrollment services. And so stuff will definitely come your way. There's a ton of things to do. There's a ton of jobs. There's always an opening. I feel like all my friends have gotten a job, anyone that's wanted one. And the pay is good. It's competitive. For a college student and a college employee, it's above minimum wage. Depending on the job, some of them might be just at minimum wage, but I mean minimum wage has gone up, so you know. But Ami?
Yeah, so I started working with dining services, and later on I went ahead to work as a student marketing assistant, and right now I'm working with the graduate admissions office. So it's pretty easy to find all these jobs, and we also have like online portals, so that's a great medium to find any kind of jobs on campus. So we have like all like assistantships, clerical job, anything that interests you and will help you in academics. So yeah.
And Rebecca?
I definitely agree with there being a multitude of jobs available if you go looking for them. The first job I got before I even came to campus was I actually became graduate resident assistant, which is a grad RA, and that application I believe is open until the end of this week. So if you have already gotten your acceptance to RIT, you probably got a graduate email that had the link in it. If anybody is curious afterwards, I think I can dig up that link and send it out to Sanjay at least if you're interested. But again, that is a position that allows me to have housing on campus and a meal plan while I am a resident advisor for Red Life here. So that was the first job. and I like that job. I'm very glad that I have it. And then the other jobs I got, obviously TAing is a big one that you can do if you're in your school. Student government, I am the College of Science Senator for this year, so I'm in student government with Sanjay, and that is another one that I really love because it helps you get really active and involved in campus, and you are really up to date on all the issues, and you get to help have a voice for not only yourself, but everybody in your school. And the other job that I do that's a little unconventional is I somehow got a job teaching as a Zumba instructor on campus too. So now I teach a bunch of wellness classes. So I do a little bit of everything. I definitely want to just add a little cautionary tale as you're trying to write a thesis and do all your classes that having a lot of jobs can end up being a little overwhelming. So while it has helped me pay for school in some aspects, definitely make sure that you are able to take on that workload.
Yeah, I mean, like RIT does always truly believe that students need student jobs as well to support their finances and everything, and they understand that. And there are over 8,000 to 9,000 jobs on campus. That's always reassuring to knowing that you could always find a job to cover your living expenses. And all our job postings are posted on Handshake, which is our in-house system, and New York State has wonderful minimum wage, so that's always good, and you always keep getting updates about the different on-campus jobs. Before I move on to the next question, one of the questions that popped up in the chat below is jobs off campus for international students. So for international students, I'll just give you a heads up about the visa regulations. So the F1 students, the people who come internationally outside from India or China or many other countries, so you are allowed to work for no more than 12 months during your education period, which we call it the CPT, Curriculum Practical Training. This is the period when you do your co-op or internship, and this should be between your first day of RIT till the last day of RIT. But the provided condition is that you should finish minimum of 9 months of education before you can go on a co-op, which essentially translates to 2 semesters of coursework. So after your second semester of coursework, you can go on an internship or a co-op like I did during the summer, or you could do a double block where you do work through summer and the fall semester, and you can work like a full-time employee for 40 hours. It's always a good opportunity for you to put your skills to use. And usually the good thing about the co-op program we have at least is that a lot of companies know that RIT has wonderful graduates, so they just use this program as a way to test the student in order to make him a full-time offer. I've had many friends who did a co-op at a company and were offered a full-time at the end of the internship period. I was offered a full-time offer by the end of the internship period, and so by end of year 1, I had a full-time offer, and I was just all chilled out, knowing that I'm all covered for once I come out of RIT. So yeah, I'll just move on to the next question. If you have more questions, please feel free to put it down in the chat box, or just tweet us at hashtag RITgrad, and I'll be more than happy to address that question as well. So okay, I'll ask this question again. What surprised you the most when you arrived in Rochester and at RIT? Was it I know as an international student, what the biggest surprise for me was the winter. So I come from a pretty humid place, and my first snow was very exciting. Me and my friends started going back to our high school selves. We were making snowballs and hitting each other with it. That was very exciting. And then came day 2 when I was oh god, it's snowing again. So yeah, that's been one of my biggest surprises with the snow. It's handling the snow, but you get used to it. That's at least one thing that I can assure everyone. But maybe if the other 2 domestic students and the international student could share their experience with Rochester and RIT too.
Sure. I mean, it's a little different for me because I'm from New York City, so Rochester's not too much different, but I mean, it is in its own way, but it's not as drastic as if I came from another country or anything, but it's different. You're kind of more secluded. It's more not as bustling as the city is. It's colder for some reason, and I guess less body heat or something, but it almost feels like there's less to do, but Rochester is a step up actually from my undergrad. My undergrad was in the middle of nowhere. I went from New York City to literally like the woods, and Rochester. There's a lot more to do. So it was weird. It was easier to adapt than when I went to my undergrad, because you have your own little city kind of here, and there's a ton of kids that go to RIT. I think close to 18,000 or around that number, and so a lot more friends, a lot more people to hang out with and stuff. So, but it was still different. Still different.
Ami, if you could probably like share your perspective from an international student sense.
Sure, my answer is the same as yours. The snow was like a surprise to me. I mean, like, of course, I come from a hot and humid country and I've never seen this much cold, but I got used to it like after 1 or 2 months. And I really enjoy snow when I don't have to go to class or work. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Rebecca?
I think the thing that surprised me most was how much you can find to do on campus. As Josiah said, it is a little isolated just because it's not right in the city, although there is a ton to do in the city. So if you do end up finding somebody who has a car or you do a zip car, there are a lot of fun things you can do and a lot of places you can go. Rochester actually does have quite a bit of stuff that you can have fun with. But on campus, you can be so involved that you really can find a bunch of stuff to do on the weekend. You can join clubs, you can do organizations, and there is just a bunch of resources available to you that I don't really feel like, even though I'm from Buffalo and I stay here over all my breaks and everything, it's convenient for me, and there's a lot that I've made this, not only my community but my home. So I definitely think that the surprise was finding that I just loved it.
Yeah, I mean, like, Niagara Falls is just an hour away from us, so that's always reassuring to know that you could always go down to Buffalo and visit Niagara Falls. And New York City is just like 4 hours, I want to say, 4.5 hours drive away from Rochester, which is always good. And New York City doesn't have like any like has in numerous places to visit, and I've just been there over for my spring break, and I always feel like I don't have enough time to explore everything. So yeah, and Rochester too, like Rebecca said, one of the things that stands out to me is like the various stuff that you can do at RIT. Like, I mean, I've been to Rebecca's Zumba class, and the one class that I've been with, made me feel like I was definitely not exercising, and by the end of the day, I was like probably on the floor, laying down on the floor, and not sure if I'm gonna wake up the next day. So that was an exciting class, but we have like multiple sports stuff. Like we have badminton classes, you have golf classes, you have horse riding classes. So there's everything. Like there are a bunch of stuff that you can do, and it's amazing experience. So okay, let's get down to a more interesting question. So we always get a lot of questions about diversity on campus, like what's the diversity rate, and like the dining and housing options and the campus life. Could you guys like probably like talk a little bit about the diversity, the dining and housing options? And Rebecca, I know you're an RA, and that would probably like give you a better perspective with that, and also about the campus life.
So yeah, I'll definitely say that the RIT campus is pretty self-sufficient, like with all kind of resources. Like we have like various housing options, food options. The diversity is really great. There are people from all over the world, so you get to learn about different cultures, different food. You make new friends, so that's really great. And I've definitely attended one entire semester of Rebecca's Zumba class. It was interesting. There are various such kind of wellness courses that you can take as a grad student, so which is, I feel, definitely helpful. And apart from that, we have like around 200 clubs on campus, like from like artificial intelligence club to anime. So there's a lot of things to get involved. So yeah.
Josiah?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just answering a question, but I would say food-wise, there are a lot of options. I was actually surprised by that. This is coming from a different perspective. I went to a much smaller undergrad program, as I was talking about, but I'm also from the city, so I went from having a ton of options to no options to now there's a lot more. Every week they have like a section where it's like a visiting chef that serves like a different kind of meal. If you're interested in that, they also have the dining options. It's like a buffet setting. Breakfast if you're there early. A couple different coffee places with smaller meals. And then there's always like a hot food section open, usually where you can get pizza or halal burgers, regular burgers, whatever you want, kind of. So there's that option as well, kind of like a fast food section. And then you can cook at home if you're motivated. I do that for dinners and stuff like that. There's a Wegmans over here, which is like a huge shopping center that just makes shopping easy. I still call my mom, but it's better. And then housing, if you live down, you can live around school. It's closer. If you don't have a car, that's your best bet, honestly, because they have public transportation, like a bus system that'll take you around everywhere you need to go. If you're really looking for a cheaper option and you can find a way to commute, either with a rental car or something, you can also look downtown. I live downtown. Rent comes out to about $450 a month for me, roughly. I live with three other guys though. That's not for everyone. I grew up with siblings, so I didn't mind. But there's definitely ways to be cheaper. And if you access our Facebook, there's other incoming students and accepted students that you might be able to link up with and figure out you guys have some stuff in common, and you might be able to look for housing with them. That's definitely an option. The three guys I lived with I had never met before. Just kind of reached out, and it's worked out so far. So that's my experience.
And Rebecca?
As a grad RA, I'm obviously going to plug housing, not necessarily, but there are, we're talking about diverse options on campus. The campus itself is diverse, and like Josiah said, there's a ton of different food stations, and they have traveling chefs, and usually these are, Indian food, Ethiopian food, Mexican food. We do try and get a huge range of different chefs, and they travel around to each of the dining centers depending on the day, so you really do get to diversify. And housing-wise, we do have quite a few apartment housing. I am the grad RA for apartment housing. Chances are, as a grad student, you probably won't be living in the dorms, but you might be living somewhere like Colony Manor, Perkins, Rivernoll, University Commons. You might live at Global Village. You might live at the RITN. That's entirely up to you. Some of those housing options are a little bit more expensive than others. I can tell you that Rivernoll and Colony Manor are some of the cheaper options. And if you want to live off campus but really close by, because I understand that coming internationally can be difficult for you to secure a car, so places like Park Point and Providence are right next to RIT, and because they have a bus system that goes right there, so that's not a problem. The buses within RIT's campus are very good, very reliable, so I highly recommend those. If you do manage to go off campus, it can be a little bit more difficult to find apartments within range of RIT's campus because surrounding area is a little bit suburban, so you do have to go to the city area, a little bit more urban, but you can, get a lot of bang for your buck then, but just make sure that you've got a reliable car and you can come on campus. Thankfully, parking permits aren't too expensive. I've been at other schools and they can be outrageous, and here I think parking for a year is like $100 to $200 maybe dollars, which I know sounds like a lot, but the parking permits over at University of Rochester, they're like $350, so it's just, thankfully we don't have that. But there are a lot of housing options and there are a lot of dining options, and you just want to make sure that you are getting what you need so that you can be as successful as possible.
Yeah, I think you guys cover pretty much it, and sometimes we do have like events where food trucks come on campus too. Something that I really love is called a poutine truck. That's something that everybody has to definitely try. And the one question that popped up in the chat was about on-campus and off-campus housing, and I know like everybody addressed the question, but I'll just like put it in a more concise way. So based on the closeness to RIT, we have like three levels of housing. So level one, which I call the dorms, which are around RIT. I mean, within RIT, like Rebecca said, like the different options like Global Village or Rivernall or stuff like that. They tend to be a little more expensive for graduate students, and also it is based on you put in an application and you should wait for whether you're accepted to be put in those dorms or not. And the second thing is Park Point and Province, which are like level 2, which are close to RIT, but not within RIT. But they have like a bus system going like, and they have a bus every 15 minutes. Which tends, and the usual like rent for that goes up to around $700 to $800. But I do understand there might be some students who are looking for more affordable option, and that would be the level 3 housing options like Rustic Village and Crittenden. I personally stay at Rustic Village. I pay around $450 a month, and there's a public bus every 1 hour. It's like one of the best options I've seen. It's actually a really big apartment community, and they have their own swimming pool, and like they're really good. And I've personally been there for 2 years about now, and it's been a great experience. And if people are looking for more affordable option, I would definitely say that Rustic Village is something that you can look into. And if you need any help, you could always I'll just leave my email at the end. You could always like just shoot me an email, and I'll put you through to one of the people at Rustic Village. But yeah, like I said, on campus is going to be expensive. Park Point and Province are going to be somewhere around $800. Rustic Village is going to be somewhere around $450 plus the basic utilities. So if there's any more questions about on campus or off campus that I did not address, please feel free to just put it in the chat below. So okay, let's see. Let's do more fun question. So what's your favorite thing to do outside of the classroom? Like like I'm pretty sure like mine would be being with student government. Like I know I've been talking a lot about student government, but the thing with student government, what I've noticed is that it's not always about the official work. It's the kind of like work that you get to do and the kind of satisfaction you get at the end of the day, knowing that your perspective and your actions have put in value to towards the university decision-making process. So that's always has been like a motivating factor to me. And okay, I'll just ask the others. Like probably you have more fun stuff to do than me. Josiah?
Yeah. So favorite thing outside the classroom? That's tough. So I like to work out. I love like outdoor stuff, which upstate New York has been awesome for. In New York City, it's hard to just get up and go like hiking or camping or have a fire or anything like that, honestly. But up here, a short drive away, you could go to Letchworth State Park. There's other beautiful areas. You could go hiking if you really want to. Get a couple friends. You guys make a weekend out of it. I've always got my camping equipment, and I like working out. That's one of my other things. RT has an awesome facility. I'm not just saying that. I actually really like it. They have saunas. They have two kinds of pools. They have a full Olympic size, but they also have like a lazy river kind of pool where you could just cruise around and relax after a long day. Their weight room has anything you would want and more, and so that's that. And I play music. Sometimes I'll go down. They have like coffee houses and little stuff in downtown Rochester, which are really cool. I play guitar. I like doing that. So for fun, I'll try to perform at little places like that. So there's a ton to do. There's so much. Those are my best three.
Ami, if you could probably tell more as your favorite activity outside the classroom.
Yes, so mine is to explore Rochester with my friends. I love to go to different food places and definitely like exploring new hiking trails, camping spots. definitely there are a lot of state parks and outdoor places around
Mm-hmm.
Rochester. That is something I really like about the upstate New York. And definitely RIT Student Life Center has a lot of facilities. Like you can rent all the equipment, and there's everything that you want to play, like all kind of games, all the resources. So that's really great that you don't need to go outside. Everything is there on campus, and you can even go jogging in the cold. Like you don't need to go outside. You can just go inside the life center. That's really
Yeah, and Rebecca?
I definitely enjoy that I get to do one thing, which is teach my Zumba courses, which are not me doing actual schoolwork, so that's really enjoyable just to have that one extracurricular that's not required for homework turn-in. And as far as everything else to do outside the classroom, I mean, like I said, there's a lot to do in Rochester, and you can, if you're old enough to go down to the bars, I highly recommend it because there are a lot of interesting ones. There's one that's got a bowling alley. They have a bunch of bowling lanes in it called Radio Social.
Mm-hmm.
That one's fun. Go play laser tag. You can go see a movie. There's a mall. There's even an outlet mall within 45 minutes of here. There are, I mean, Josiah mentioned Letchworth, which is a little farther away. Stony Brook's only about 45 minutes away. That's another park you can go to and see the waterfalls. There's, what's one in Pittsburgh? I'm trying to think of. Mendon Ponds. Yeah, Mendon Ponds is right in Pittsburgh, which is about 15 minutes away if you want to go to a park, and you can even kayak on that lake and everything. So there are a ton of outdoor trails and activities to do. Pretty much, as long as it's not too cold out, you can do anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, one of the questions that popped up actually was what are the things to do around Rochester and on the campus, and it looks like you guys almost covered that question too. Yeah, it's always interesting to know that you have so many stuff to do around the campus, like the activities or the different clubs, or you can always like just hang out at different, like, we have a wonderful coffee shop called Java's, which is an awesome place to hang out at. And coming to like what's around Rochester, like everybody has covered all the places that you can go. I'll probably just speak about like Niagara Falls, and Canada is just like a couple of hours away from us. So if you just apply for a Canadian visa, you could get a Canadian visa pretty easily. So you could always go to Montreal or places like that, and it's always fun. Canadians have amazing coffee and food, yeah, like Radio Social is an excellent place that I've been to, and the downtown Rochester has like some pretty good bars too, and yeah, the food options are good. And that's pretty much it. Were you saying something, Rebecca?
Oh, you missed the one with, I forgot about the one with the arcade.
Oh, yeah. Yep, and I mean, me and Rebecca and a bunch of others are going to Dave & Buster's tonight, so that's another fun place to hang out. So, okay, this is a question more to Josiah and Rebecca. So you guys are New York State natives. So what's the weather like here, and what do you like best about living in New York State?
It's a long winter, but when it's warm, it's beautiful out here. Honestly, it's like upstate New York has some of the prettiest views, I think, at least here in on this side of the East Coast. So it is a long winter, though. A lot of snow. If you do have a car, you'll be shoveling it out. You'll definitely get in shape doing that. Yeah. What do you think, Rebecca?
I agree. This winter in particular has been a little taxing. I'm a little bit more annoyed with it than I usually am because I'm from Buffalo, so we just get dumped on a lot of the time. And so coming to Rochester, not a whole lot had changed. I was used to it, but I am sick of it being cold out, and I'm ready for it to be warm again. I think the thing I like most is that, especially the fall, when you start to see all the leaves change and everything, that's one of the prettiest times to be in New York. And it's still pretty warm out until at least like late October almost, and so you do get to enjoy that for the most part when you start.
Yeah, we have a funny like saying over here. I'm just gonna throw a Game of Thrones reference over here. Winter is always here, so that's how Rochester is. But trust me, you're gonna get used to that. Okay, now let's do a more serious question. Could you all share some advice Oh, before I go with the question, we have Mudit joining us from all the way from I'm not sure where, but he's on a co-op currently, and he could also probably answer a couple of questions as we go by. But before that, if Mudit, if you could introduce yourself, where you're from, and where you're working, and what's your program and your hometown.
Yeah. So to make sure, am I audible to all of you?
Yeah.
Okay, so hi, sorry for being late. It's sudden snow and I was stuck in traffic. So I'm Udit. I'm currently on a co-op and I'm at ANSYS Pittsburgh, and I'm into electrical engineering. I've done my first year in the semester, and I've come from for a 6-month co-op after that. So from India, I'm from India, from Mumbai. And again, Rochester is like home. Second home to me, but it's a nice experience for me now because it's a big company I'm working for. It's like a full-time experience I'm having here, and it's a nice overall experience. So we can talk about more about me and what the club. But it's really nice to see you guys, Sanjay, Joe, Emmy, Rebecca. It's been a while, yeah.
Okay, let me move on to a more. Actually, if okay, I'll just do the questions first, and probably then I'll ask Mudit if he could share a little bit about his experience, like a short thing, or like how it's been so far, or anything more. So before that, so could you all share some advice for our newly accepted students who'll be attending RIT this fall? There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of oh, what am I gonna do? I'm moving to a new place. Am I prepared and stuff? So if you could share some advice.
Okay, I'll go ahead first. What I would say that during your first semester, focus more on academic and rather than spending too much time on extracurricular activities. I mean, I'm not saying not to go for it, but just don't get away with it. So I would suggest you to focus more on adjusting with the environment, because for a lot of students, it's going to be a different kind of education system. So it's definitely take your time to get adjusted with the education system, the community, and the environment. So yeah.
Rebecca?
I would say get to know the campus. Even if you arrive and you have to start school already, if you're done with classes, take a different way home each time. Make sure you start learning about the campus, because chances are you're going to be put in a lot of different places over your 2 years here, and it's good to know what buildings where and what to do. And plus, you start finding out that there's a lot of cool things hidden in places. We have a radio station of our own in the basement of the SAU, and all this other stuff that you may not necessarily know unless you go kind of exploring.
Yeah, Josiah?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Getting to know the campus would help a ton. I remember I would always walk the same way when I first came because it was the only way I knew. And then when I started making friends, they're going under these tunnels and winding around, and all the buildings are connected, or a lot of them are somehow. So it's cool. You can find ways to escape the cold, or get to where you need to go a little quicker. Another thing I would say is just take it a day at a time. It could be a lot, it could be overwhelming. School can. You're obviously good academically. If you're looking at RIT, you're obviously bright. But either way, school gets tough. It's good to have a social life. Keeps you sane and it keeps you smiling. And so don't just disappear into your work and forget to do other things. Take breaks. Talk to your professors. They care about you. I was always a conscientious student. I would always, express my concerns and stuff with the professors and just let them know who I am, and they'll look out for you and do their best to make sure you're learning. If you feel like something went over your head, say it. That's what I learned. People are so scared to raise their hand and be like, hey, I have no clue what you just said. They don't want to look like the one that's uninformed or not smart or something. But just raise your hand, ask the question. Someone else is thinking it for sure, and it'll help you in the long run.
Yeah, and
So I would suggest it's very nice if you talk and don't hesitate talking to people. It really it's a big deal coming from a different country to a new culture in a land far away. So what's fundamentally gonna help you is communicate with people, getting to know things, how things work, and uh, the campus is quite big, so it'll take a while to explore, and you'll see new things, new ways of things, new ways of talking. So that will come from starting to come, letting the fear down of what someone will think. So I would really say that communicate well when you are here, and you'll see a lot of learning opportunities from every single step that you'll be taking on campus. So yeah, that would be an advice from me when you come.
yeah, I mean that's all wonderful advice. Like, I always like this has always been my motto. Cruising through RIT graduate program, it never hurts to ask for help. Like, the worst thing that's gonna happen is if you ask someone for help, they're just gonna say no. That's the worst thing that can happen. Like, if you want a job, just go ask a different a person from an office. If you want to ask your professor for some help, just go ahead and do that. If you anything, like you could ask your friends. It always depends on how you are, and like you just have to put in your effort, and as long as you do that, there are like a lot of resources on campus. Like if you're struggling academically, or if you're struggling with stress, like we have wonderful resources on campus which help you with that, and we have a co-op services department which helps you with like finding a co-op or like preparing your resume and stuff like that. And one thing that I would definitely suggest is try doing a lot of stuff at RIT. So don't limit yourself to just academics, because when you are a graduate out of RIT and you're looking for a job, they're not looking for a student who's just like finished his courses and like graduated from RIT. They want somebody who's a part of the community, someone who understands, someone who like puts in more than just like learning stuff. So that's something interesting. And one other like interesting thing that happens around our nerdy RIT campus is human versus zombies. So that's something that like students play a lot around here. So don't be startled with that. If possible, try looking it up after this like session, and you should also participate. That's something very interesting and something very exciting to do at RIT. And like I said, please take all the advice and never forget that help is around. All that you have to do is just reach out to people, different people, and there's always like someone trying to help you out. So there's just a couple of questions that like popped up in the chat, and I'll just try to like because of our time constraint, let's just try to keep it a little brief. So one thing that came up was a work-life balance. So I'll just share a quick tidbit about my thing. So I've been working on 20 hours on campus and around like 15 to 20 hours with student government, and like I do my graduate school work too. I know it sounds on paper that it's a very stressful like activity, but it's not really stressful. It's all about time management, which I'm not the person who is supposed to talk about. But it's always time's always there. You just need to know how to prioritize stuff, and please do a lot of stuff at RIT, because that's going to always teach you and help you grow as a person too. So if Josiah and everyone else could also chime in for a quick minute. Josiah?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, just the work-life balance at RIT.
Yeah. It's doable, 100%. You know, I think I've gotten in a routine. It might take a month or two, or longer when you're first moving. It hits you hard when you first come. Even me, I'm a New York native, but there's just a lot of change. You know, grad school courses are different, a lot more substantial work. You know, not as much busy work, and living off campus is different too. You have to commute 15 minutes. You know, you have roommates. You have stuff to do. You won't need a job in order to pay for your bills and stuff. So there's a lot going on. It takes you a little while to get into a routine, but once you do, it's very manageable, very doable. I feel like I'm in a good routine right now, and like I say, you just take it day by day from there.
Rebecca?
I am definitely not the person to talk to at this point. we're ending the session and I'm late for, you know, a different session and whatnot. And so I would say I think it was very manageable and doable in the first year, 2 years. I would definitely caution you'd be careful. Some of you have been talking about bridge courses in the chat, and I did have, that was why I had to take a coding course to begin with, and it was a bridge course. So because I was taking that in addition to my grad classes my first semester, I'm now at the point where unfortunately there wasn't enough enrollment the previous semester for me to take 2 classes for the spring and the fall, so I ended up having to do like 1 and 3. So right now I'm taking 3 grad courses in addition to doing every other job that I just listed. So I am barely keeping my head afloat, but you're watching me here telling you that I do love RIT and I plan on graduating.
Ami, if you could also talk about quickly.
Sure. So work-life balance, I was actually just writing an answer to the same question here. If you're good at time management, you definitely can do your on-campus job, do well in academics, and also participate in extracurricular activities. So it really boils down to how well you can handle the pressure and, like, you know, good at handling time.
And Mudit?
So, I would like to say it gets tricky when it comes to time, and there's a lot of things when you're away from home you have to take care of. You have to, for the fundamentals, you have to cook, you have to be on time, you have to work out, you have to take care of your courses, then you have to work out your finance, and if you're doing an on-campus job and you're studying, and graduate studies usually they are quite intense and they need a lot of self-motivated time for studying. So it kind of gets tricky, but really time management and planning is the key. And Sanjay is a very great example of it. Okay. He works for student government. You can see him all over the campus, working in the library, working with the graduate admissions, and he's now here hosting the webinar. So you can literally do everything from maintaining your mental, physical, and academic balance, but it's all boils down to time management and proper planning. So don't be overwhelmed because the campus is really big and it will give you a lot of opportunity to learn, and I don't know, there are countless number of clubs you can join, amazing courses you can take, but it's really doable, as Josiah said. It's doable, but you need to plan it properly and channelize everything. And that's what I say.
So in the interest of time, there's like one final question that I'll just talk about and wrap the session. It's about the career fair. So a career fair, unlike if some people are not used to the idea of a career fair, is where it's like a networking session where all the companies come down to RIT and you just go from one company to other company and just meet them and talk about your interests and see if they have any opportunities available for you to apply to. And so far I've been in 4 career fairs and I've been lucky enough to definitely get like a couple of interviews with every company like I went to. I've so far interviewed with Microsoft, Apple, TripAdvisor. I was just down in Texas with interviewing with Indeed. So it's been a great experience. So career fairs are like a wonderful resource for you to like network with companies and know what they're looking for. And we also have our RIT handshake, which helps you like find different jobs. And I know a bunch of students who got like different opportunities thanks to Handshake. So Career Fair is the way to go. If you have more questions, please feel free to like reach out to us with questions through email, or you could always like reach out to the co-op services to like just shoot them an email sending the questions that you have. Please be mindful that they might get back to you in a day or two. Just let them like look at the question and answer you. And so that's all that I have for today. So thank you, Josiah, Rebecca, Ami, and Mudit. I know you've all been busy, but thank you for your time. And to the audience, we're just posting a couple of links in the chat. So it's the first thing is our graduate student blog, where a bunch of our students will keep writing our like posts about Rochester or something that would like help you. And we also have our admitted student Facebook page, and there's also our WhatsApp group. You can always join that and to get more information. So once again, the final reminder is just that there's a $300 tuition deposit which you have to pay by May 1st to accept your admission. And once you do that, you get a computer account which you can use to like apply for different jobs on campus and reach out to people and stuff like that. So Thank you so much for joining me. I hope I've been a decent moderator, and thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
See you guys.